The following program is a Creative Magic Network production. Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome. Come on in, sit down, relax, put your earbuds on, and welcome to the Frederick Bai Show. This radio podcast is about unleashing your creativity. We talk to experts. We step into the unknown. It is an inspirational, magical, intuitive radio podcast as we chat with charismatic enigmas. That's right. Artists and people, business people from around the globe. Musicians, singers, radio hosts, photographers, everything in between. I am Frederick Bai, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. Hey, in this place, sky is the limit and space is the place. I am your favorite French Canucker, and today we have an amazing show with a woman that I spoke to a little while ago on the Frankie Sense and More show. I don't know if y'all remember, but I was surprised by her energy, and she seems to be how can I say this? She just has an endless energy to her and determination. And today we're going to talk bullying. We're going to talk about stepping up, standing up for ourselves. And her name is Gabriella van Rij. She's a speaker, author, and activist for kindness who helps transform the culture of any organization or classroom into one that values and promotes kindness. For the last 3 years, Gabriella has been seen by millions on Dr. Phil, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And you can join her. You can find her at Gabriella.global. Welcome to the show, Gabriella.
No, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, as I mentioned during the intro, you're doing a lot of things. And this show is all about passion and purpose. And it seems to me, just by looking at your profile, just by looking at your work, you found what your purpose is in life and you know what you're passionate about. So right before we get into your work, though, give us an idea here of your background a little bit.
Okay, my background is that I'm one of the first cross-cultural adoptions, meaning I was born in Pakistan. I spent 3 years in a Catholic orphanage, and then I got lucky, so I got adopted by Dutch folks. And even though that sounds really terrific, I kind of feel that adoption comes with a price, because once I left the East for the West, it is a huge adjustment period where I feel I really understood what it is like to not fit in or to not belong. So that's really the basis of the beginnings of my first 10 years of my life. And then once I kind of felt, fitting in is not the word, but I kind of felt part of the family, then life became a little bit easier. And I have always been passionate about people and helping. And I really mean the word helping in every sense of the word help. What is it that we can do to make the society a better place? What is it that we can contribute? I think I grew up that way also because I felt that I was lucky to get chosen. And I really feel that there is someone in everyone's life that has been kind. And we remember that person. When you go around, and you ask people, they always say, yes, I know who that is. So that's so intriguing. Do you know who that person would be for you?
There are several people. I remember years ago, I was when I was wrestling. This lady, I remember. I'll just 30-second story. In wrestling, it's very competitive. It's macho. It's this and that, and you have the women's wrestlers and everything. And I was sitting in the stands during practice all by myself, and this lady comes up to me, and she says, hello, I'm so-and-so. And I go, oh, hello, and I don't know, she was so genuine and humble and kind. And I remember she walked away, and I was like, her face tells me so. I know who she is. And then it popped in my mind was like this superstar wrestler. She was on television. I was like, oh my gosh, that's her. You know what I mean? And and see today, that's 10 years later, I still remember that. And she didn't have to do it. Who was I? I was just a guy during practice. You know what I mean? But yeah, the way she just gave me the handshake, it was just humble and kind and just, you know what? And it stuck with me. It's just stuck with me.
Yeah.
a handshake.
It is those small things that stick with us for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And so even though it looks like I got everything I want, right, the family and all that in my early beginnings, but not fitting in, you almost, I mean, I've had more than once that I thought, wow, I wish they had left me in Pakistan when I was really little, because it feels strange when you can't please anyone and when you just keep standing out, right? Don't forget, this is the early 70s, late 60s. And so people don't even know what adoption is. And people, I know your viewers can't see me, but I am obviously brown skin coming from Pakistan and dark hair and adopted by Dutch. You can imagine back then everyone was blonde and blue-eyed, whereas today in 2016 we live with diversity all around us. The world, because of internet and the technology, has become small, right? Mm-hmm. But back then the world looked big and scary. And so the attitudes were quite different. And I think that is how I kind of went, gosh, the people that are kind to you, you really, really remember them. You really do.
Well, how did you, because, okay, so you said that in your, up until you were 10 years old, you were living in Pakistan, and then, am I right? And then you moved here.
No, I lived in Pakistan, and then I got adopted. And then from 3 till 9, I lived with my new family. We lived
in the U.S.?
Different places in Europe. My parents were diplomats, so they move every 3 years basically to another country. And then my parents divorced. So for me, I only got to spend time with my new family 6 years. And then it all kind of fell apart. So after 10, we weren't in the same family unit. Mm-hmm. So I would honestly say life has been both kind and unkind to me, if you know what I'm trying to say. It had a lot of bumps in the road. Right. It had a lot of snags. And having those snags, it could make you go either way, Frederick. It could make you go to the left and say, I really don't like that. I'm going to blame everyone, and I'm going to play the orphan card, right? Mm-hmm. Or you go the other way, and you say, no, it's a bummer, but I'm going to make something out of it.
Right.
And I chose the latter, with a lot of kicking, but I chose the latter.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this then. You were bullied, okay? It's obvious when you were little. Here you said you didn't fit in. What are some? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, okay. Yeah. So, and now, what are some of the lessons learned from bullying? I mean, is there some good? Obviously, there is, but what is the good that came out of it? Because for all the little girls out there, maybe there is a little girl listening now, or a boy, and he's being bullied, and maybe tell me what's the good that came out of it? That can come out of it.
Well, the first thing is you need to understand that you're not alone. You really aren't. The emotions that you are feeling are being felt by thousands of millions of people in the world. I know that doesn't feel that it helps you, but that's the truth. We don't want to talk about the emotions because they're very vulnerable, right? So I would really request parents, if you're listening and you have a child, open up, talk about what happened in your life so that your child in this new technology world can relate. And if children are listening, then the first thing I would say is the bully and the victim are mirror images of each other. They are just as scared as you are. I know that sounds odd, but they really are. I learned that. I learned that the hard way. And once you know that, once you actually look at that person and go, oh my gosh, they're just as scared. They're just doing it differently. I'm scared and I hover in a corner, and the other person is very verbal with it and is just talkative and says bad things all the time to you. But they're only doing that coming from the same fear situation that you are in. So that is something that is a huge eye-opener for students today.
Okay. And any lessons learned from you? Like, you know what I mean? Like any lessons in your own life?
There are so many. The first one is everything you fear actually happens. It really does. So if I fear even more not to belong and not to fit in, it happens even more. It is only until I address that problem. If I say, yeah, but I am Dutch. Can't you see that I'm Dutch? I am. And I just keep going against the grain. Now, I tell you honestly, nobody that meets me can tell that I'm Dutch, right? I look Indian or Middle Eastern or Mexican or any other country except Holland. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case and you go against the grain, the lesson learned here is the more you push against whatever it is that you're afraid of, the more it's going to pop up every single second right in your face. I give you an example. If you're afraid of spiders, let's just take a really simple thing like that. You're the only one that will find a spider each time somewhere. It doesn't happen to your sister. It doesn't happen to your wife or your partner or whatever. It always happens to you. Until you face that fear and you say, what is it that makes me, see these spiders? What is it that I'm supposed to learn? And the moment I learned that it was okay not to belong, everything shifted. Everything shifts.
Wow.
Because we are not taught that it is okay. So it is okay. It's absolutely okay to have one leg in the east and one in the west and to say, I don't belong to either. I belong to me.
Right.
I'm good with who I am. You tried to put me in the box. Sorry, I'm going to crawl out of it if you don't mind. I'd rather stand outside of the box.
Yeah, and sometimes when you stand outside of the box, that's when you're even more ostracized, or you know what I mean? People, yes. It seems to me it's like religion. It's like people don't like it when they can't label you something. They feel uncomfortable. They feel like they can't read you. They can't control you, or they can't get a grasp of you. You see what I'm saying?
I love that you just said that. I really do, because when you stand outside of the box, it's up to you. See, I don't say to someone, you're a coward if you stand in the box. You need to stand wherever you feel comfortable. If you feel that standing in the label, in the box, is fine because it makes you feel like you belong, that is good too, as long as you feel it. And that is different for everyone. And for me, the answer is I'd rather stand alone outside of the box, outside of the label. But if you want to stand in there, for all the listeners, please, that is okay. But you make the choice, not your mother, not your father, not your partner, not your spouse. You do.
Yeah.
If you can look me square in the eye and say, I love where I'm standing, I say, more power to you, right?
Yeah, right.
Often it's the opposite, right? When you really ask someone, are you there in your life, whether you're 10 or 30 or 50 or 80, people actually say, no, I'm not. I don't even know what happiness is. Do you know that most people don't smile on a regular basis?
Or they don't smile. They don't smile genuinely. I think they smile corporately, or they smile like you know what I mean, because they have to.
I call that a smirk. That toothpaste smile, right? Where you just show your teeth. Yeah. I don't call that a smile. That's to be a commercial.
Yeah.
I'm very bold in saying that. No, I mean that genuine, hi, how are you? Like, I give you an easy example. This morning in the elevator, I went to the fitness. The lady, I said, hi, how are you? She just looked down and did not want to communicate to me. And I wasn't going to give up. So I'm in LA, so I said, a bit chilly this morning. And then she still didn't say anything. But when she left the elevator, she said to me, she turned and she said, I hope you have a good day. So you know what? It's only shyness that kept her from communicating. And that's the way I looked at her body language. And when she stepped out, she felt comfortable because she wasn't in my space. She felt more comfortable with the distance. Then she talked, and she left as fast as she could. But she talked. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you start being the instigator of kindness, of communication, of a smile, don't wait for the other one to do it, because then we'll have to wait forever. Be the instigator. Make life happen around you. That's my message.
All right, once again, we're here with Gabriella van Rij. She's a speaker, author, and activist for kindness who helps transform the culture of any organization or classroom into one that values and promotes kindness. For the last 3 years, Gabriella has been seen by millions on Dr. Phil, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And you can find her at gabriella.global. And guys, right before continuing this conversation, if you have a passion, something that fuels your curiosity, well, on top of getting fascinating interviews such as this one straight to your inbox, when you subscribe to our free Creative Magic community, you will get super cool exclusive gifts in return, such as the ebook, Happiness Quotes by the Ambassador of Happiness herself, Maura Sweeney, one of our hosts, and also an exclusive conversation with two of my favorite people, Alex Okoroji and the blind blogger Maxwell Ivy, another one of our hosts, as we talk about the influence of friends and college education on our lives, the competitiveness in a crowded field, the importance of business and financial education in arts and entrepreneurship, and more. And also, Alex has a special gift for you inside. I promise you will get inspired and entertained. Subscribe for free at frederickbuy.com. Frederick with a C, buy like bye-bye.com. Okay, Gabriella, you talk about kindness. This is your brand, kindness, and react with kindness. And let's talk about the corporate world a little bit, because, and I know you talked a lot to you give speeches, in the corporate world. The thing is, kindness is seen as weakness in business, oftentimes. So, is kindness in the corporate world really possible? Because for the person who is kind and smiley and everything, sometimes you just gotta. I'm sorry, but there seems to be people where you just gotta be harsh with them. It seems to me, or they won't understand you, and they will take advantage of you.
You see, I don't come from that standpoint. I come from the standpoint that nobody can take advantage of you unless you want to.
That's true. Okay. Well, let's put it that way then. It's true that they cannot, let's say, quote unquote, physically take advantage of you or by taking action, but they will perceive you as weak, and that's when their actions will follow. That make sense?
This is where change the mindset. Since when is kindness a weakness?
No, I don't think. Well, look, I don't think it is, but I think it's perceived that way. It can be perceived in business.
In business, too. People think that business has to be rock hard, right?
Yeah.
It has to be serious. It has to... I think business, one of the keys to me of a good business relationship is not to be buddy-buddy. The good key to business relationship is communication. And there we arrive at something that is really, really difficult, is we don't watch the delivery of our communication. It's often very unfiltered and uncensored. See, I believe that we think we're incredible good communicators, but we're not, because half of the communication is still in our brain, and the other part we mutter the words with often a bad tone and a bad body language. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so communication and kindness in the workforce becomes more and more difficult because we get very irritated very quickly that the other person across from us doesn't think as fast as we do or doesn't get the half sentence that we're giving them. So I have a secret ingredient that I tell people to really, really do. One of the first things you need to do in business is to, and I say this a little bit funny, is to regurgitate back what it is that you understood. It takes a little bit of time, but it's really worth it.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, so let's say that you are my boss, and you asked me to do A, B, and C. And my capacity for understanding was only B. I barely got A and C. So when I reiterated back to you, I would say, hey, Frederick, so if I understand correctly, B is really important, and A and C I can do later this week? And then he'll say, no. A and B go together, Gabriella. They're for the utmost important, and C you can do next week. And it's by telling him what I thought I understood, not word for word, but real quick, like bullet form, the other person realizes what it is that I only understood. And without having to make the person into an idiot or anything, you have a much better communicator because the other one goes, oh, maybe I didn't explain that very well, huh? Interesting. Do you see what I mean? And you keep the dialogue open without hateful comments, without what I call the unfiltered and the uncensored part. Because we get irritated and reactive so quickly that it's kind of really shocking. You know, we are a reactive world.
Yeah.
If you say to, hey, Gabriella, in front of everyone, right? I'm sitting in a cubicle, and you bend over the wall of the cubicle, and you say, hey, Gabriella, I was really uncalled for. What did you do here? Jeez, we're going to lose this client if you keep it up. What's going to happen?
Well, you're going to get pissed off.
Yeah, I'm just embarrassed. And between my teeth, I'm going to say bad words,
Yeah.
Because watch your delivery. He could have said that differently. If you want to shout at me, do it in the privacy of an office, right? Don't embarrass me in front of other coworkers. And there is always, as a boss, you have the responsibility and the consequence of the end team. And I think we forget. We live in a world where we do not want to take consequences for our actions. Have you noticed that? And that's not just in, even children. Children always say, I didn't do it. And I said, but you stood there. You stood there and you watched. To me, that's just as much a culprit as the instigator that is bullying someone else, right?
Right.
And we do this in the workforce. So indirectly, we are held not accountable because we say, no, it wasn't me. And we are held in a place always of being reactive. Instead of contributing to the company, we are just, used to the put down, and then we say it wasn't us, it was him, right? Because we learned that already when we're little. And so when I come in and I say, hey, but this is about kindness. See, I don't believe, me personally, but that's really personal for me. I don't believe that I need to be buddy-buddy with my boss. What I do believe is I need to contribute my skill. And because I contribute my skills and my energy, I get in return a compensation. And that compensation makes me feel good, and that's why I do it. And if it doesn't make me feel good, which is unfortunately 50% in the workplace don't like their jobs. And don't forget, that causes a lot of the friction.
How many you said? How many you said?
I would say 50% of the people that you ask don't like their job.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's terrible.
It's a means to an end. Look at social media. How many people say, oh, my God, I wish it was Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yes, it's Friday.
Yeah, it's terrible. I hate those comments. It's terrible. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for But go ahead.
I do too. I don't hate the Monday when they come. I
No,
just
me
kind of go,
neither.
yay.
Mm-hmm.
A new, fresh week, right?
Yep.
Because whatever mistakes I made in the last week, I get a chance to do it better. Every week, I get a chance to write my own chapter, and I decide how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we give the control away because we don't believe that we are in control. And even though you work for someone else, your skills are what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you want to bring to that table with the skills. And I always say the first thing is communication. We communicate with our face, even if we don't say a word. The body language. You know when you have that 1 foot out the door? And you know what I noticed the most, Frederick? And especially in the Dare to Be Kind campaign when I was on the road for 30 days with Bobby, my manager, we noticed that one of the things that people kept saying is that they see in public places, like, for example, a waitress will say that they are shocked how nasty people are at a table to each other. So the people that we're the closest to, the people that we love, than to the waitress. And that is something that I heard over and over again. So we're apparently not very kind communicators to the people that we love, and we're kinder to the stranger on the street than we are to the people in our household.
Yeah, that's true.
Bad.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, because this is something that happened to me, I think 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I would like to know what you would have done in that situation, because the second time it happens to me, and I kind of get awkward. Okay, I'm walking down the street. There's this school there, and there's this kid, and I see this other kid pushing him. They're like 16 years old, taking his bag, took his bag off his back and threw it on the ground, and they're bullying him. I mean, it's clear, right? So what I do is, at first, I didn't know what to do. I felt like my instant reaction is forward. Like, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna, I'm gonna scare these. I'm gonna do something. But then you think, okay, well, they may be armed. They may be, you don't know. Long story short, I called 911. They said, are they still? And then asked me a bunch of questions. And then the kids, as I was speaking with the person on the other line, they left. They got lost in the schoolyard or something like that. And what can someone do? Because I was seeing passersby, and they were seeing, they passed right beside them, and all of a sudden their backs get hunched. You know what I mean? They look on the ground, and they look towards the ground, and they just keep walking. They don't want to get bothered with it. You know what I mean? They just want to pass by and do their own business. Mm-hmm. What can you do in that situation if you're by yourself? I mean, you don't know. These kids are like 16 years old. They may have a gun, or they may go after you. But at the same time, there's this other kid who's just, being pushed around. What do you do?
Well, the first thing for me, whatever you see, if you feel that a person, most people feel that it's none of their business what they see, right?
Yeah, that's it.
That's the attitude. So I just want for your viewers to know that we come from that attitude. It's none of my business. But I grew up in Europe where if we don't aid a third party, we can be actually held liable. It's exactly the opposite from America. America, if we help people, we could be sued later. Yes?
Yeah.
So we are scared in general. Let's just take that as the example. I call that being a bystander, right? We see it, but we don't do anything. So our silence ends up being complicity. Now, of course, I see hundreds of things every day which could make me a bystander. For example, a homeless person. I see them. Does that mean that I feed every single homeless person that I see? The answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
Do I try when I think about it, and do I go back into a little shop and I buy him or her some food? Yeah, but not all the time. So you could take the argument I'm a bystander and an active witness sometimes. Now, in the case of bullying or seeing something that is threatening, I would always help. Me personally, because this is what I teach, I have always helped. I'm only 4'11", and I've only gotten hit once so far that I had to really duck really fast, and I didn't duck fast enough. So I got a blow in my face. But I was still very, very happy, however, that I helped because it gave the other person a chance to run away.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, sometimes I feel it's worth it to take the hit. But I need people to also be careful. You need to let your instincts talk a little bit more in these situations. It's very hard for me to go black and white here, yes, help, because I do know that people carry guns today, so I do want to address that for a second. The only difference that I've ever seen in a dangerous situation when someone has a gun is I have never known, me personally, I've only been once in a situation like that, and I just said, hey, man, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. So when you are actually not scared and you come from a very, very calm place, nothing happens to you. The problem is we don't come from a calm place.
Yeah.
We come often from an agitated, emotional place.
Right.
So please watch and let your intuition work a little bit for you. Your gut instinct, please let them kick in and listen to them. But if you're really scared, then I'm so sorry, but 911 is the next situation. You can walk past for about, 4 feet, 5 feet out of the way and call 911?
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion when your gut instinct tells you that there's more. But please don't let another human being be abused in situations that we see daily, whether it's a child, a woman, or a man, whatever their gender. Please help. And like I said, if you feel like you can't, I'm going to give you an example of something. In Canada, this happened. So with other words, to answer your question, I hope I did it correctly. Yes, help.
But come from a place of calmness, come from a place of peace, and not a place of hostility, right?
Please come from calmness, because you need to diffuse the situation.
Yeah.
Not instigate it more. Don't take parts. Don't take sides. Calm.
Yeah.
This is nothing that you know. You do not know what you're seeing. Your eyes only see a part. I am very, very clear that we need to stop being opinionated because we only see one part, one fragment. You do not know if the woman that hits the man, I'm going to say it this way, has been abused for years and years and years, and that this is the drop.
Yeah.
You know nothing about the situation. So come from it knowing that we don't know. And do you know how hard that is? Do you know how
it is hard because you know what? It is hard.
I don't know. Yeah. So
no, but I mean,
aside.
I'm sorry?
Put the opinion that you make in your head, put it aside, listen to your gut, walk 4 feet, 5 feet further, call 911, or stay there and say, hey, dude, I don't know what's going on, but this is not okay, okay? Please don't hit each other. This is not going to solve anything. And if the other one starts swearing and cussing, ask the other person, please walk away right now because I'm keeping him busy. Walk away. I just want to see this diffused.
Yeah.
And if they both shout at you, mind your own, blah, blah, blah business, and you see that it's really just a very light dispute, then I'd walk away. If you see this is heavy, then I would call 911.
Yeah.
But usually it's diffused. It's really funny how your calmness can diffuse an entire situation.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's what I was going to say with helping. One day I was at a stop sign, and usually I don't stop, I just walk as a pedestrian. And I stopped, and I was standing next to this little itty-bitty old lady. And she just went down right next to me. I couldn't catch her. I didn't see how wobbly she was, and there she went.
Mm-hmm.
And I bent over, but I didn't touch her because I know that you're not supposed to, because you don't know, you know. I mean, you might agitate people. So I just talked to her. I said, are you okay? Are you okay? And I think she fainted. And I knew she was alive, but I knew she fainted. So I called 911. And I put my coat over her. I took my coat off. I put it over her because it was a little bit chilly.
Mm-hmm.
And drizzle and chilly. And I waited till 911 came. And 911 answered this. Wow, you waited? Yes. And you didn't touch her? And it's, nope. I'm waiting for a blanket from you because there's only one thing I know. When you faint or anything, your body heat goes away. So the person needs heat.
Yeah.
And that's all I know. I mean, I'm not very smart, but that I knew. And I waited. But what caught my attention the most, and by the way, she was fine. She just had a little, you know how older people forget to eat and stuff like that. So she was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But what was really intriguing to me, I went home and I thought all day, wow, can you imagine that we call 911 and then we just keep walking? Is that how scared we've become to help someone?
Yeah.
They know your name anyway. I mean, the truth is, we are all so connected. People know who you are. I mean, 911 can figure out what my number is and get my name and my address in what?
Oh, yeah.
Less than 10 seconds? Why would I walk away?
Yeah.
What is it in us that doesn't want to be involved? My answer is not nice.
Right.
I'm going to give you my answer. My manager says it all the time, and she's actually really right. We are desensitized. And with the Dare to Be Kind message, I'm trying to reverse this. I'm not trying. I think actually, I think it makes an impact. I think what I do slowly makes a tiny ripple effect.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about what you're doing in a minute. So once again, this is Gabriella van Rij. She's a speaker, author, and activist for kindness who helps transform the culture of any organization or classroom, the world basically, into one that values and promotes kindness. For the last 3 years, Gabriella has been seen by millions on Dr. Phil, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And you can find her at gabriella.global. And right before continuing this conversation, guys, are you an Amazon shopper? When you use our Amazon link at frederickbuy.com, Amazon kicks back a few bucks to the show, and it helps cover production costs at no additional cost to you. No hidden fees, no BS, no nothing. So if you like what you hear, you can help by going over to frederickbuy.com, Frederick with a C, buylikebuy.com, and click the Amazon link in the sidebar for all your online shopping. It is really that simple, and you can bookmark it to find it easier. All right, Gabriella. Now we got a few minutes left. You're doing a lot of things. I feel that we haven't touched on enough things yet because you're doing a lot of things. Okay, your campaign last month, October National Bullying Prevention Month. You hit the road. You spoke at schools. Talk to us a little bit about that, how it went, and what did you learn?
Well, it was quite the endeavor. I didn't particularly learn anything new in the sense that I know people are worried. I know people are fearful. Those 2 points, unfortunately, are in our society very, very prevalent, and people are worried, of course, because of the elections, too. We asked people about what they thought about the election, and I'm not talking about whose party. We didn't go into that. We just asked what they thought of the communication skills of our future presidential candidates. So we asked questions like that. That was an eye-opener for me, how many people disliked that we talk to each other that way on national television.
Really?
I was quite amazed about that. And what I learned, unfortunately, and I continue to learn, is that we are really very fearful, and that people never thought of the simple steps that I teach how to be kind. That shift that I talk about in my talks, they had never heard that. So I went around and I slapped people with my kindness slap bands that say they're and it was kind of cute because I said, now that you talk to me, I'm going to slap you with kindness. And then they went, oh, what are you doing? and so that was kind of cute, right? And I found people more open to discuss it than I thought. I saw a lot of poverty. I saw a lot of unemployment. I guess I didn't think of the unemployment. And the reason that I'm saying unemployment is I learned all about Route 66 on this trip. It's, my manager can explain it better than I do, but it's a route that exists from LA all the way to Chicago, Illinois. And this road was frequented by thousands and thousands of people. For example, the Cubs that are playing used to pass by on their way to training in Phoenix, and they would pass that. And so in little restaurants along Route 66 where I was, visiting places in New Mexico, they told us they look like ghost towns. There's nobody anymore.
Wow.
And it's all empty. And so that saddened me. That saddened me on my trip because I did not expect to see that. I did not expect to see that desolation. And so that's just saddened my heart that there were people out there that are kind of forgotten. And maybe this is part of my message. How terrible when you're one of the people that go unnoticed and unwanted in life, right? So I spent time talking to these people. I was quite intrigued, and my little brain is thinking what we could actually do to stimulate economy back, that it's not only in the big cities. So that was something that was very new for me to learn, and it was very humbling to see. And I was very, very, very pleased by how receptive people really were about the message. A lot of people said, you're totally nuts, Gabriella, for doing this. And I said, that's okay. But then once you did start talking with them, they were receptive. And that warmed my heart. That means, like I said, one person at a time. It takes one moment, one person, one kindness. And the biggest plus of the whole trip, apart from the kids, of course, is that we met two really genuine people, and we got a theme song called Dare to Be Kind. And that's just kind of really amazing. And they did that, an artist did that for free.
Wow.
And he said, every time you go on stage with the kids or the adults, you can play my song. And I went, wow. And he did it from all my quotes. He wrote the lyrics from all the quotes that he found on Facebook and all over my website. So the lyrics are literally written by him with my own words, and his name is Don Lawson. So his hashtag on Twitter is @DonLawsonMusic. And I just, wow.
Wow, yeah.
Literally put tears in my eyes that someone would be so kind to do that for us, for this movement.
Right. And you also wrote, 2014, published a book with All My Might, chronicles your personal and hurtful experiences with bullying. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I of course always think that my life is not that interesting, but obviously I'm out there, and what is the most interesting about my life story is that obviously it's unique and different, and people are intrigued by it. But what is much more important, and you will find that in the book, is the emotions. The emotions in that book touch you, touch me, touch everyone, because it talks about this universal message of belonging. How do you fit in without losing a part of who you are? That's really difficult. And then the reason I call it with all my might is because I really believe that every single person, when you go through pain, that pain becomes your biggest strength, and it becomes the cause that you live for later, like I do, right? The cause, Dare to be Kind, is the pain that I had as a child. And so I really talk about that in the book, and every person that I have ever met personally that has read the book said, I can relate. I can relate to racism. I can relate to immigration problems. I can relate to not fitting in the football team because I stand out, because I do something weird, or, you know. And it's not always about bullying. It's about that inner deep feeling that you don't want to talk about, which is, am I good enough? Am I just good enough? And who decides that, me or someone else?
What did you learn about yourself through all this experience that you've been doing since the Dare to Be Kind campaigns?
I realized that I'm good enough.
Okay.
Doing this and encouraging others. When I see a child, I see their beauty, I see their quirkiness, I see them shine, and I'm always so surprised that they don't see it. I'm surprised that human beings can't see that of themselves. That we have one innate thing, that we can see it in the other person. What I can't see in myself, I see in someone else. And when I see that, and uplift the child or the worker that contemplates suicide, that you can talk down and that you take the time to spend an hour with. That's what life is about for me.
Right.
I know that's not the measure of success in America, but I think it's time to make a new measure.
All right.
My measure of success is when I have spent some time in that one day to do something for someone else. That's the measure for me of my success. So that's my measure, and I think this trip was a huge success.
Awesome.
If the measure is remuneration, then it isn't, of course, because this was pro bono.
This was what? I'm sorry?
The whole month was pro bono. We went out there and talked to anyone and everyone without asking a fee or a donation.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, what's next for your brand, Gabriella? What's next for Gabriella, and where can we find you? And
okay, so the easiest way to find me is #Dare to Be Kind, or Gabriella.global if you prefer. Then you have my website. We're everywhere. We're easy accessible. We have a toll-free number. You will find the phone number of my business manager, Bobby, on my contact page. We're literally everywhere. What we would like is that if there is a situation, whether it's in your corporation, whether it's in your community center, in your churches, at schools, with your children, invite us to come to speak. Money should never stand in the way. Now, of course, we try to combine it with more things than just one. So, for example, if someone asks in Pennsylvania to come out, then I will try to organize something so that we can stay a few days and that nobody has to pay exorbitant amounts, but that each one donates a little bit so that we at least get our expenses paid, and that we are there to help. That's really my message, is we are there to help, and we are there to, try to make these communities work, that they are not fearful, that they are there to be kind, that there is no bullying, and that there should be no child that goes to sleep at night thinking that they're better off to commit suicide. And so that's the main message. And then buy my books on Amazon. They are in both Spanish and English. There's a children's version called I Can Find My Might. There is the With All My Might, which is the memoir, the adult book. And then the fun communication book for both corporations and literally anyone that says, I want to learn a little bit more about this action-reaction that Gabriella is talking about. Pick it up. You will read it within an hour and 15 minutes. It's a very small book. You can throw it in your purse. You can put it in your jacket pocket, literally. It has cartoons in there. It's really a lot of fun. Get the word out there that we are pounding the pavement one person at a time.
Wow. Awesome, Gabriella. Thank you very much for this inspirational interview. Really, it was awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Alrighty, everybody. Thank you again, Gabriella, for this amazing interview. I want to thank you for your insightful conversation. A wonderful, passionate, kind lady. I love these types of people, and her energy is contagious. Really, it's contagious. I will put up her book on our website at frederickbaye.com. So when you pick it up from our website at frederickbaye.com, Amazon kicks back a few bucks to the show, and it helps cover production costs. No additional cost to you, no hidden fees, no nothing. So what you can help by going over to frederickbaye.com, Frederick with a C, Baye like bye.com. Click on her page in the blog. Just you'll see her picture there, the Frederick Baye Show picture and her name, and click the link to her book. It's that simple. It will lead you to the Amazon page. And that's it. You're set. Also, I would like to thank everybody who pledged to our Patreon page. You are really helpful to the show, and we are grateful for your help. In case you're wondering, Patreon's a simple way for you to contribute to the network and podcast every single month and get super cool exclusive gifts in return. I promise you will love the perks. Our Patreon page is at frederickbaye.com. Click Patreon in the header, and the money is used to cover our production costs and editing time and sharing to different podcast channels. You can contribute for as low as $1. Pretty cool, man. $1 a month. Anybody can do that. Creative Magic Store is open, alive and well. Oh yeah, it is alive and well. And you got t-shirts, mugs, DVDs, recommended reading, a bunch of cool stuff, man. A bunch of cool stuff. I will also, I'm sorry, Max Ivy's book is there, leading you out of the darkness into the light. If you want to achieve your goals, you should check out that book. Really, you should really check out that book. And also, for all of you people out there, you can subscribe to our free Creative Magic community to get super cool exclusive gifts in return, including the happiness quotes by the ambassador of happiness herself, Maura Sweeney. And also, with my buddies, Alex Okoroji and Max Ivy, we talk about the world of business and arts. They're the same, man. They're the same. We talk about the influence of friends and college education on our lives. The competition, whatever it is. And also Alex gives you a book normally that you have to pay in Amazon, but because you're part of the Creative Magic community, she gives it to you for free. I promise you will get inspired and entertained. You can subscribe for free at frederickbaye.com. And finally, this podcast is FRWE free every time you download it on iTunes or Stitcher or Podcast Addict or Spreaker or wherever. Follow us on Spreaker because we're going to be, this thing is expanding, and it's really cool because we're going to be on iHeartRadio real soon. So that's another step to get this network to the next level. And also, guys, we're looking for new hosts for the network. Hey, if you're a podcaster, if you want to be a podcaster, we can lead you by the hand. It's a growing network. We already are 5 on the network, and it's pretty darn cool. We're looking for motivated, positively oriented hosts who want to start the podcast or want to expand their listenership. Since we're starting, we offer very affordable prices for the podcast. Really, it starts at $50 a month. So that's and $50 a month, and you're set. So if you want to be a host, we can guide you. If you're motivated, we can guide you. If you're positively oriented, we can guide you. Once again, you can find more information at frederickbaye.com and click Become a Host in the header. It is really that simple. And other than that, hey guys, stay safe and don't forget, live with purpose, passion, and love. Bye-bye.